Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Welcome back. This is Fourth and Over It. We're on to week 3 here. Unfortunately, no Greg this week. He is claiming gas station burrito took him out. Whatever the case may be, he is on the injury report this week, but we're looking forward to seeing the diagnosis and getting him back in here next week. Anyway, show must go on, and let's face it, Packers are legit. I think Packers were a playoff team before the season started. They were a very young, up-and-coming team, good offense, young offense, solid defense. The investment in Micah Parsons has paid off tremendously, absolutely tremendously. That defense so far has made the two offenses most recently. The Commanders just look not good. So Packers are legit. I really, really do see them being a top contender coming out of the NFC this season, barring any injury to the defensive side. Because I think the offense is young enough and they have enough pieces where they can kind of withhold a offensive injury unless it's to Josh Jacobs, of course. I mean, Josh Jacobs gets injured, then there's an issue. We also got QB injuries. Speaking of injuries, let's move right into it. A lot of QB injuries. We're 2 weeks into the season. We have 5 starters either declared out or in jeopardy of missing in week 3. Jaden McDaniels being one of those. He's most likely, I think, going to play. He's more so like a day-to-day. But we have J.J. McCarthy is out. Brock Purdy's out. Justin Fields most likely not going to play. Tyrod Taylor, I believe, the Jets picked up. So we'll see. I'm actually kind of excited to see Tyrod Taylor play. He's an exciting player. Very similar to Justin Fields as well. And then, of course, the big one, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is out with turf toe. More serious injury than it sounds. Turf toe could be the funniest name for as serious as an injury as it is. Burrow's looking he's going to be out some time, possibly the whole season. It's like, doesn't sound like that's that bad of an injury. But, after looking it up and anyone that knows about it, it's basically like tearing your ACL except your toe. And, another funny one would be like if you were to tear your ACL and someone was like, you got a heel peel. I mean, it's a weird way to describe such a serious injury. But basically all the nerves and tendons in his toe and ball joint of his foot are just not well. Definitely going to get surgery. Possibly come back for the playoffs if they get that far. We will see. But could be a season-ending injury. But what a blow. It's a huge, huge blow to Cincinnati. Cincinnati has not been 2-0 since 2018, I believe, which also would make it the first time in Zach Taylor's 10 years the head coach starting the season off 2-0. So, I mean, it was an offseason with a lot of high-powered signings, right? Re-signing T. Higgins, massive contract. Last year, you signed Joe Burrow to his massive contract, Jamar Chase to his massive contract. Now you have T. Higgins' massive contract. You give I don't remember if it was like he gave a $30 million raise to Hendrickson, or it was like a $14 million raise that makes him make $30 million this year. I think it's option B. I'm pretty sure he's only making $30 million this year. But nonetheless, a lot of money spent. Looking like a promising start to the season for the Bengals. Going 2-0 and just, losing your starting quarterback. Kind of crazy. Unfortunate. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. I'm a huge Jamar Chase fan, T. Higgins fan. That offense, and Chase Brown. That offense is one of my favorite offenses to watch in the league. Playing fantasy football, it is one of the best offenses to own in fantasy football. They put up points. So, huge hit there. Unfortunate for, Burrow, Jamar Chase, those guys, which have been chasing something for a long time since their time at LSU together. So, we'll see what happens there. What I think is kind of crazy is Jameis Winston just rotting away as QB3. Coach's decision to not suit up. I mean, emergency quarterback duties only. Jameis Winston is a starting caliber quarterback in this league. And there's currently 5 teams that do not have quarterbacks. Definitely 4, possibly 5, that will not have their starting quarterbacks out there this week. And Jackson Dart looks legit. He looks very good. So clearly the young rookie backup to Russell Wilson, if Russell Wilson was to start to not perform well, which great bounce, different topic here, but great bounce back week by Russ. I think it was 128 yards he finished week 1 with. I think he had 150 yards by the end of the first quarter this week. So whatever was said in the film room, he woke up. He remembered that Malik Neighbors was on his team, and that guy is so athletically gifted and can go get him one. And that connection, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Jameis Winston, and the Giants should be absolutely looking to ship him off to one of these teams. I think the Bengals being an absolute perfect fit. Jameis is someone that could walk into that offense, have 2 stud receivers and a stud running back, and make that offense just as high-powered as Burrow did. Maybe a little bit more turnovers. That's what Jameis is known for. But if I was the Giants, I'd be looking to ship him there for a 5th-round draft pick. And if I was the Bengals, I would absolutely jump on that deal. You spent a lot of money this year. You want to try and make sure you get to the playoffs and give Joe a chance to win you one. If he gets good and can rehab good and get you guys into the playoffs, I think Jameis gets you into the playoffs. So we'll see how that breaks down. And then, another week, again, there's only 2 weeks, but Mike McDaniel's, that hot seat, sizzling. That thing is sizzling right now. Greg, if he was here, possibly would have argued this point against me because, let's be honest, A-Chain doesn't step out of bounds. That's a touchdown with 40 seconds to go. Something ridiculous. Just like not a good defensive effort on that. Like for them to even have a run that makes it that far. Like it was like a 50, 60 yard rush. That would have been a touchdown. It's should not have happened. Simply put, as a Pats fan, I was watching that. That was like, here we go again. We've had so many games in Miami where we're winning and then we just give up one of these stupid end of the game plays to let it slip away from us. So glad he stepped out of bounds, but nonetheless, if he didn't step out of bounds, Greg would have a point that maybe McDaniel, his hot seat isn't so hot. But I think with that loss, how embarrassing it was, Indy week 1, and then you come play a rival in Miami where we do not do well. New England does not do well in Miami. We came out, which I said the over. I know I may not have said it on the podcast last week, but I know I was talking with my friends via group chat that the over was a lock in that game, that both teams had a lot to prove and defense wouldn't be great. So that was a good hit there. But yeah, both teams played really good offense. 2 special team touchdowns. Gotta love to see that. Bring some excitement. All right, but back to my original point here. Mike McDaniels, that hot seat, it's sizzling. It's on fire. You lose to a Daniel Jones Colts. You lose to the New England Patriots, which you have notoriously owned us in Miami early in the season. And who do you get on tap tonight, Thursday Night Football? We got the Dolphins versus the Bills in Buffalo. Bills are 11.5-point favorites in this game. It is possible this could be a 2-touchdown game. I think that team knows how much they're fighting for. Well, at least McDaniel is definitely fighting for his job. Make no mistake about that. I see 10 points. I don't think they get him close. It's going to be a lower scoring game in my eyes. My question for sure of the week is if and when the Dolphins lose this game, does Mike McDaniel even get on the bus? Is he allowed on the plane back home? I would not be surprised if they start this season 0-3 with how much dysfunction has been in the offseason. Tyreek Hill, everyone, just that there's just so much feels like distraction, and then you're just not winning football games on top of it. The only thing that cures distraction is winning games. And if you're not winning games and you have distraction, as a head coach, eventually they're going to move on from you. So if they lose this game, which I do believe they will, I would be not surprised at all if he is not let go prior to week 4. And if he is not let go prior to week 4 and they lose week 4, I will guarantee, like Charles Barkley, guarantee this guy is fired. Gone. That's how this business works. So interested to see what this game's going to bring. I definitely will have money on it for sure. Going to be taking Bills to win by taking Bills 9.5, under 49.5, and James Cook anytime touchdown. Looking at yards, I might throw James Cook's rushing yards in there as well. But, we'll see. Very excited for this game. Very excited to see Mike McDaniel get fired. Mr. Cool, Mr. McGenius. Gonna be Mr. No More. That'll bring us to the game of the week last week. Philly Chiefs Super Bowl rematch. It was a game I was super, super excited to watch. Kind of see the fight that the Chiefs would put up, to see the Eagles kind of defend that, we still got it. We still know who you are, and we're here to stay. A very good week of games this past week, and this game did not disappoint. Right out the gate, Saquon doing Saquon things, good rushing attempts, yards, gets in there for, I forget, I think it was 15, 20-yard rush touchdown. Quick little, we're still here. Saquon, really good to see him. I'm a Saquon owner in fantasy football, so love seeing Saquon get into the end zone. So that was great. The Chiefs fought back right from there. They weren't just going to lie over. They were adamant to show this wasn't a replay, but a rematch. And they walk it down the field and went field goal, touchdown. Nonetheless, either field goal, touchdown, field goal. I forget exactly how it went, but they 10 straight points, take the lead, and then it's kind of some back and forth football. A lot of punts, some defensive football. Defense on both sides, I think, played well, which I was anticipating. I was hopeful to see the offense. Again, the offense is kind of a shell itself. Worthy's out, Rice out, Kelsey's old, right? Patrick Mahomes doesn't really have the pieces he needs to be successful, so it was going to be hard sledding for the offense no matter what. So it's going to be a defensive game, I figured, and it sure was, going back and forth. But then we get to the fourth quarter, and Mahomes down 3. They're driving that ball. Really good drive. And then first and goal, throwing a pick, trying to go to your only weapon on offense. Travis Kelce picked off. That pick turns into a touchdown for the Eagles. And then you're from down 3 to down 10 in the fourth quarter. They made an attempt at it. They absolute bomb to get them within 3. But then the Eagles do what the Eagles do. They are a rushing offensive team. They lean heavily on the rushing ability of both their quarterback and Saquon. They came in with that game. Really good rematch, I thought. What I loved the most was the Chris Jones, Jalen Hurts interaction at the end, where he's talking that trash to Jalen of, you barely got over 100 yards. I think he finished like 101 yards passing. And Jalen hit him with a quick, yeah, but we fucking won. I love to see that. It's a nice little rivalry I think we'll have going on here. I think Chris Jones is right. Jalen Hurts is an average quarterback with a super above average team around him. Like, that defense is so good. Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, even though they've been basically not used all season, whether that's their fault, whether that's Jalen's fault, y'all be the judge. But they're not passing wise. That offense isn't doing anything. There's a lot of coming from the rushing side of it and the defensive side of them being able to stop other offenses. So I'd be good to see Jalen, really break one out. I mean, Jalen has won, so you can't take that away from him. He is a winner. He cares about winning football games. He doesn't care about stats. And, for him to hit him back with that, yeah, but we won the fucking game, that just kind of speaks more to who Hurts is as a professional athlete. He doesn't care what those stats are in winning football games. And, when you're the defending champ, you won more football games than everyone else. And that's what fucking matters. So And my takeaway, hugest takeaway out of this game is these refs looking at you. I'm looking at you, referees, right this second. Call the penalty. It's offensive offsides time and time again. And if it's not offensive offsides, then let the defense do the same thing. You know, we're gonna play like rugby. Let it be rugby. Let them all line up over the ball, and just see what happened in that pile. But currently, it is an offensive offsides. Not every time, but I think almost every single time they're getting a little bit of a head start and encroach on that ball. If I'm Philly, I'm gonna keep doing it until you call it. Like, we don't need to ban the tush push. What we need to do is just call a penalty. If they're off sides and losing those 5 yards, they're not going to make that play as much, or they're going to change the way they run that play, which will then make it more easier to stop. Call the offensive offsides, or don't, I guess, but it's clearly offensive offsides, so I don't know. I digress on that. I absolutely digress. I'm gonna move out of this before I start arguing with myself. So I'm gonna move that on. Great game though. Great Super Bowl rematch. Really great Super Bowl rematch. I will say some fantasy, mixing some fantasy stuff. I'm a huge fantasy football player. Several leagues that I'm in, I assist. Fantasy football MVP. So we've got a few. I actually put 5 down for this. Five players that, if you had these players and if you had 2 of them, I'd be hard pressed to see that you didn't win your league this past week. But Jared Goff, it's all PPR, by the way. If you don't play in PPR league, I don't get it, to be honest. Jared Goff, 44 points. Neighbors, 39.7. Like a good neighbor. Malik is there. What a game. Amon-Ra, 39.2. Russ, Mr. Unlimited, 38.3. And Jamar Chase, 36.5. I don't think it's by any mistake that Goff and Amon-Ra were both on there, and Neighbors and Russ were both on there. Amon-Ra, 3 touchdowns. I don't have any shares of him, so I think it was 3 touchdowns, which is what helped him with his. And then Goff threw for 4 or 5, and then you had Malik Neighbors had like 10 catches on 13 or 14 targets, overtime game, ton of yards, couple touchdowns. I have a lot of shares of Malik Neighbors, and obviously that's why Russ also had such a good game. Shout out Russ, figuring out that Malik Neighbors is a cheat code. And then Jamar Chase had like 16 targets as soon as he had like 4 catches on 5 targets from Burrow before Burrow got injured. And then Browning, obviously, thrown into action. What are you going to do? You're going to look for your number 1 receiver. He found Jamar Chase as much as he could. We'll see if that trend continues. I think defenses will key in on that. And then pick up of the week. You got a couple guys here. Quentin Johnson, I think I talked about him last week. I know I've been talking about him a lot in fantasy football with my fantasy football leagues that I'm in. The dude discovered he's got hands. Like, I don't know. This guy was a first-round draft pick. He was supposed to be so good 2-3 years ago when he came into the league, and has been nothing short of an armless dud running around out there. And 2 weeks through the season, he has 3 touchdown catches. I'm pretty sure he's leading the team in receptions and receiving yards as well. This team features Ladd McConkey, who is phenomenal and was drafted probably 2nd round, 3rd round, depending on redraft and, settings and all that. And Quentin Johnson in most leagues probably wasn't drafted, or was drafted in, 13th, 14th round, maybe later. So, shout out Quentin Johnson. Shout that guy out. He is awoken. And then the next guy, Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes leaving the Giants, going down to the Colts, grabbing a new nickname, Indiana Jones. I'm here for it. Love Indiana Jones, the movie. Love Indiana Jones, the nickname. Phenomenal. There's an unreal turnaround for him. It's kind of funny, you watched Saquon leave there 2 years ago and just absolutely smash records, and we're on pace to smash a record. Unfortunately, sat out a couple snaps, couple games where he did not break that record, but either way, he leaves the Giants, goes on to do great things. Daniel Jones has now left the Giants, and Daniel Jones is looking unreal. Is the only word I can use for it. Unreal. He's looking absolutely unreal down there. That offense is clicking. No wonder, with how good he looks, it is no wonder why Richardson lost that job to him. And all good for the Colts. Love to see it. I hope it does continue for him. But those are clearly, they are the two biggest waiver wire. I mean, I'm in leagues with Fab, and I think it's a ridiculous number. I don't know why I would throw this number there, but I think it was like 59 Fab dollars was spent on Daniel Jones to be picked up, which is wild, but it is what it is, right? The guy's balling. He is QB 3 or 4 in the leagues that I'm in based on point scoring. So, guy's doing it. So, shout him out. And then, a little bit of betting, right? I think I already gave out a couple plays. Again, with tonight's game, the Bills-Dolphins, I'm on the Bills alternate spread, -9.5, under 49.5. James Cook touchdown, possibly James Cook yards. I think it's like 67, something like that, 67.5. That I'm looking at being my parlay for that game. But I will say my bet of the week, my business basically free money in my mind, is Cardinals. It's Cardinals San Fran. San Fran's 2.5 point favorites. Cardinals plus 2.5. Definitely would take that. Like, no questions asked. I think Cardinals are going to win it straight up. I'm going Cardinals money line. Mac Jones does turn back into a pumpkin. It's just bound to happen. Brock Purdy will not play this week. Possibly he'll be back week 4, but he's not playing this week, and Mac Jones can only do so much. I mean, your number one receiver is, which I'm a huge fan of Ricky Purcell, but it's Ricky Purcell, Juan Jennings. You don't have Kittle. You have Christian McCaffrey, which is great and all, but there's just so many more weapons on the offense of the Cardinals. So we'll see. No, I don't love Murray, but I think he's better than Mac Jones, and I think they just have more pieces. So plus 2.5, that's a steal. That's free money. Money line, I think, is value free money. You can spend less on that bet and win more, because I think it's of a high probability. But either way, as a solo show, again, Greg out, IR, gas station burrito, timetable, 1 week. We'll see. Let's hope nothing turns up unfortunate in the week, and the gas station burritos. He stays away from. Let's just say the gas station burritos just ain't good for nobody. I don't think so. Let's just keep away from the gas station burritos. Either way, that's our week 2 recap. Looking at week 3. Again, this is 4th and over it. I'm your guy, Evan. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment. Give me some takes, give me some trades. I've seen some ridiculous stuff in some of my leagues, at least be offered. So let's hear some of the trades in your leagues. Let's see what you got going on with your games, your hot takes. You think Mike McDaniel makes it through week 3? I want to hear about it. So that's a wrap. Happy Thursday again. Another great week of football. See you next week.